So I'm planning a whole series of videos done as character profiles, where I break down what we know about each character and use it to figure out their personal story trajectory as a way of figuring out the FNAF timeline overall. The detail I'm going to talk about today was originally going to be kept under wraps until I did my video on Henry, because I think it's both an insane theory, but also potentially incredibly important to his characterization and to understanding his story. However, a few hours before writing this script, Game Theory released this video on the teaser for The Secret of the Mimic. In that video, Tom claims that Henry may have known about William's first murder and did nothing about it.
If William is Brutus, Henry must be Anthony, and that means he knew William committed the murder. That murder is going to be the wound inflicted on Henry, on the Fazbear business, on their friendship. That murder could have destroyed everything they'd built. But as we know, it didn't, and Afton would go on to kill again. Because just like Anthony, Henry isn't going to accuse him directly.
This is going to change the fanbase's view of Henry, if only slightly. He's no longer the completely innocent victim we perceive him to be. So it seems like the perfect time for me to bring up this theory I've had for years now. In that video, Tom references Henry's speech found in the insanity ending of Pizzeria Simulator. This speech was foundational to understanding some of the important parts of the lore. It confirmed that Charlie died first, although with the release of Help Wanted 2's Grave Order it now seems to be suggesting some other, older secret of the lore. And it also showed blueprints for important inventions relevant to what Henry is talking about. The scooper that can harvest remnant, the rask that is a simulated child used to lure the animatronics around the building and keep them distracted, and Lefty, used to capture the puppet. To the best of our knowledge, we'd been able to understand every bit of lore that came out of this crucial speech. Well, every bit of lore except one. None of us could really agree on what the name of the audio file meant. We knew that HRY referred to Henry, but we didn't know what to make of the 223. Some people think it refers to 2023, when the recording was made, and there's also plenty of people who think it's completely irrelevant. But here's my opinion. It's a page number. Let's start from page 215 of The Silver Eyes. Charlie falls asleep and has a nightmare about the silver-eyed endoskeleton breaking into her house. It chases her up the staircase, and right before it gets a chance to hurt her, Henry steps in to deactivate it. She's saved. She wakes up. By page 220, Charlie has gotten up and gone to sit on the porch, and is shortly after joined by John. They talk, and on page 221, Charlie asks John, "What did people think of my father?" John tries to dodge the question, but on Charlie's insistence, he relents. Some people thought he did it. John has completely misunderstood her question, and Charlie is horrified by this statement. But the more she thinks about it, the more Charlie starts to realise that since she was 7 when her dad died, she didn't really know him very well. On page 223, we get this quote. "People thought he did it. He wouldn't. He couldn't. But if he had, how would she even have known? I knew him," she thought fiercely. But did she? She loved him, trusted him with the blind devotion of a 7-year-old girl even now. She understood him with the knowing and not knowing that comes of being a child. When you focus on your parent as if they are the centre of the earth, that thing on which your survival depends, only later do you realise their flaws, their scars, and their weaknesses. Charlie had never had the dawning moments of realisation as she grew older that her father was only human. She had never had the chance to. To her, her father was still mythic, still larger than life, still the man who could deactivate the monsters. He was also the man who made them. How well did she really know him? Now, that's a long passage, I know, but it tells us a lot of information. It emphasises the reality that people have flaws, scars, and weaknesses, and don't always do the right thing. Sometimes they even do downright immoral things. It also emphasises how, while Henry could deactivate the monster in Charlie's dreams, he was also the one who made the monstrous endoskeleton in the first place. Through this, the speech really tries to get us to question our understanding of Henry. It wants us to see Henry as unreliable, untrustworthy. It wants us to question what he has done and what he is capable of. In particular, the line about Henry making the monsters stands out to me. In Henry's speech in Pizzeria Simulator, he says,
"It's only now that I understand the depth of the depravity of this creature, this monster that I unwillingly helped to create."
The key word here is unwillingly, not unknowingly. This word choice is very intentional. Even the Google Doc that I wrote this script in was suggesting I correct unwillingly to unknowingly. Unwillingly doesn't seem to fit with how this sentence is expected to go, so the word choice is then communicating to us a very important detail. To some degree, Henry knew what he was doing, but likely wasn't in a position to refuse. This reminds me a lot of Edwin. Edwin doesn't particularly enjoy working for Fazbear Entertainment or on their animatronics. He wants to get back to his vacuum business, but he doesn't have a choice. He needs the money. And this is something Tom suggests in the game theory video may be the reason for why Henry, despite suspecting or downright knowing that William is a murderer, doesn't say anything.
Maybe he was concerned for his business's survival. Maybe he was concerned about providing for his new daughter, Charlie.
His concern over creating a future for his family trumps his ability to speak up and call out William Afton. Especially if William is the financial genius behind the company, like the novel leads us to believe, why would Henry risk losing the one way his business can make him a comfortable living? And I do want to make something very clear. While this revelation makes Henry's story even darker than we previously believed, it does not mean that Henry is not a victim or has become a villain in the series. There's rarely such a thing as a perfect victim. Think of Vanessa. She's done questionable things throughout the series, but that's because she was manipulated by her awful father. It's not her fault, and she still deserves sympathy. The same applies for Henry. In fact, perhaps Henry was scared to risk calling William out for the same reasons Vanessa struggled to: fear and manipulation. Perhaps it wasn't until William got springtrapped and was no longer a threat to Henry that he was able to put everything to an end. So while our perception of Henry's character may now shift a little, as if we were Charlie growing up to see him with a mature perspective instead of childlike wonder, he is still one of our good guys, whatever he may have done in the past. I'm going to keep this video short so I can get it done and out as quickly as possible, so I'll leave it here. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.